On the campaign trail, Donald Trump promised the largest mass deportation of illegal immigrants to the U.S. that it's ever seen. What many didn't expect is the administration challenging legal immigration. This week, we saw officials try and deport Indian national Badar Khan Suri on a student visa. Suri is a researcher at the prestigious Georgetown University in D.C. A federal judge has blocked Suri's removal. The Trump administration says Suri is spreading Hamas propaganda. Also, Indian PhD student at Columbia University, Ranjani Srinivasan, chose to self-deport after her visa was revoked on March 5th. Srinivasan is accused of being a terrorist sympathizer, but she denies taking part in any protest on the Gaza war. Now, earlier in the month, kidney transplant specialist Dr. Rasha Alwahi, a Lebanese citizen and H-1B visa holder, was deported when she arrived at Boston Airport. She was attending the funeral of Hezbollah leader Hassan Nasrallah in Beirut. Meanwhile, Mohammed Khalil, a green card holder, remains detained. The Columbia University graduate faces deportation for his role in last year's campus protests against the war in Gaza. And German national Fabian Schmidt, also a green card holder, claims he was violently interrogated after a trip from Europe. He had a misdemeanor marijuana charge, which his mother says was dismissed. We're now joined by immigration attorney Allison Kranz to delve deeper into these worrying instances that have been cropping up here in the US. Allison, you've been practicing immigration law for several years. How much has immigration enforcement on, say, H-1Bs, student visas, and green card holders really changed, would you say, in recent weeks?
The immigration changes that we're seeing in these particular cases that you mentioned aren't actually impacting the majority of travelers. What we're seeing here is an attempt to intimidate, to create fear, and to encourage those people that have inadmissibility factors in their background to self-deport or not come to the United States in the first place.
All right, if an H-1B holder or a student from India or a green card holder returns to the US and are held by immigration officials, can their status be revoked there and there at the airport? What legal recourse would they have at that point in time?
Yes, it can. So when someone's going through the border, entering the United States, the officers have a lot of discretion. They have a discretion to question. They can put people into secondary inspection, which is a temporary detainment, or they can choose to detain someone for a longer period of time if necessary for their investigation or because they put that person into deportation proceedings. Now, an individual at the border doesn't have a right to attorney, but as soon as they are formally detained and moved into the detention facility, they do have a right to an immigration attorney. Keep in mind, the people who are experiencing long-term detainment do have factors in their past that the immigration law for long periods of time have always said that these are problematic issues. Now, I think that there's an argument to be made that the Trump administration is trying to hinder free speech and some of these political arguments that are being made. But, you know, people who have histories such as past criminal charges or convictions, if they've overstayed their visa to the United States or other countries in the past, if they engage in certain type of political activities that involve organizations that the U.S. have considered terrorist organizations, they should probably speak to an immigration attorney before entering the United States.
But that's the thing, really, isn't it, Allison? Today it's about Gaza speaking out against the war. Those are the kind of people that we're seeing being affected by this clampdown. Tomorrow it could be someone talking about transgender rights. So how does one really know when they're potentially at risk when they arrive in the US or even if they're here at this point in time, right?
Absolutely. I think the Trump administration has chosen chaos and cruelty over security, unfortunately. And the factors that the U.S. has relied on as these discretionary factors that would be problematic in some cases are being looked at and scrutinized at a higher rate than before.
All right. What are you advising people you have to go about life. People will say things. What are you saying to your clients at this point in time? People here on H-1B visas, we hear people also on green cards for that matter.
For people who are already in the United States, we're asking our clients if they've had a change in their work situation since they last received an approval, if they have a green card, if they have any criminal charges or convictions, if they are engaging in political protests in regards to Palestine and Israel, to come and talk to us first before they travel internationally. For those people who have some of those risk factors, we're really saying that you're traveling at your own risk. There are reasons to believe that you could be stopped, you could be questioned, and people have to make individual choices based on their own personal risk factors.
Amongst all the cases that we just listed before we came to you, any one of those that really troubles you greatly?
I think all of the cases that involve people who are allegedly supporters of Hezbollah and Hamas, that's very concerning because what certain outlets of the media are reporting is that support of Palestine has been translated to support of a terrorist organization, which is very unfair and not the same thing, and would be really an abuse of, I think, executive powers to go and push someone to that limit to say that they're supporting terrorist organizations. That's clearly an attempt to hinder free speech, to create fear, to intimidate, and to cause problems for immigrants in the country. And unfortunately, it seems like it's working.
All right, Allison, like we said, you've been doing this for several years now. How alarmed are you on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being the most alarmed?
Yes, I've been practicing immigration law for 17 years, and we've never seen anything like this. This is a very unique situation. It's very unusual, and hopefully the courts will intervene and the court's decisions will be respected, protecting the rights of immigrants.
Allison Kranz joining us from Boston. Thank you very much indeed for your time.